we shall begin. So, last session, we skipped ahead in time a little bit, and the party made preparations to face off against Borasoth, not only to cut the head off the snake of a potential impending devil invasion, but also to get back their friend Balzanor, whose body was being possessed by Borasoth. After some brief preparations are made, items bought and spells cast, the team headed north to your constructed cave to summon Borasoth and begin the plan. Once north, Borasoth was summoned via the gate spell, and the fight quickly began. Giri opened up with a devastating series of blows with a greatsword. Navedo followed with his 16 giant wasps, overwhelming Borasoth. As the fight continued, the clerics Kaiman and Doc provided support, dishing out some damage of their own eventually. Borasoth proved to be a fierce combatant, knocking Navedo down after a series of powerful blows. However, after being picked up by his support clerics, Navedo responded in kind with cones of cold, which proved to slow Borasoth down. In an interesting twist, however, Borasoth summoned none other than Maximilian Mittens Harrian, the Leonin bard who joined the Drengers of the North in their campaign against the Orcish invasion of Northgard, as well as in their campaign north to defeat one of the priests of Tiamat, Raziel. In that fight against Raziel, Mittens lost not only his eye, but and previously his arm, and he was killed. And he was taken south to be resurrected by Navedo. However, he came back as a Githyanki.
Good job, Navedo.
But
Thanks.
somehow, here he was in his original Leonian form exactly as you knew him before, except for glowing eyes, and it seems a debt he owed Borasoth. Though he proved annoying, he so far has been somewhat neutralized from putting up too much of a fight by Navedo, who charmed him, convincing him that it was everything that was happening was okay, and this was all just in the imaginings, and it was all to be fine. In the end, however, it was Giri and her sword skills that brought Borasoth low enough to be restrained and to have the exorcism begin. Though he tried to escape, Navedo's entangling staff managed to keep him locked in place enough for the exorcism ritual to go off, and it is with this we begin the session today. So, you are all stood around watching. We're technically not out of initiative, because there is still someone that someone needs dealing with, and he's not just going to stand by while things happen. But to give you a sort of an overview of the scene right now, in this closed-off cave that you've constructed for yourselves, you can see that Borasoth, there's been, as Doc has been casting the spell, there's been this glowing golden light that has sort of appeared in his chest, and out of his back has appeared sort of smoke. But now that the exorcism is sort of finished, now that he's given this final twist, this corkscrew twist in the final words of this exorcism, a gout of flame and just lava just from his back, spraying over the cave wall, spraying over the floor, and this like huge sort of cloud of smoke emerges from his back. He falls down, sort of submitting to the wraps and the roots and vines of Navedo. Falls to his knees, and you can see that this sort of smoke and flame grows larger and larger. But not only does it grow larger, it also grows in a strange shape. It doesn't sort of just sort of spew out like fire would and explode out. No, it twists around itself. It twists and forms around itself, almost forming the shape of a somewhat humanoid. Almost, if you imagine sort of like an elemental, sort of like a fire elemental, sort of spinning round and round and round upon his back. Suddenly, however, you watch as there's just this big like surge, and the tips of Borasoth's fingers begin changing from their claws, from their sort of dark, like volcanic rock claws, to normal Minotaur dark third hands. And as this cloud and this elemental grows upon his back, this transformation from volcanic stone to, well, Balzanor beneath begins growing up and up and up his arms. That is what will be happening, and that was Doc's turn. So Timon, it is your turn. Are you planning on doing anything? As this is all unfolding, there was Mr. Mittens way down here that was previously causing some issues, but otherwise, is there anything you would like to do at the present minute?
I get he's just got like written on his hand to-do list, and at the top it just says heal with 2 E's. So,
Pulled up his sleeve and just says like heal, but it's like all smudged. Okay.
like there was some really other important stuff on it, but it's all smudged off. So I don't see if someone needs healing because I found again. This one. Windows. Wow. Oh. Crap, healing.
That takes 10 minutes to cast.
God damn it.
He knows, Ben.
I mean, you can start it if you would like. But... You have mass cure wounds, which cures multiple people's wounds. You have other stuff like that. That's a 5th level spell. I believe you have it because you've used it before, but I don't know if maybe you have changed any of your spells.
Yeah, I don't see else.
Hold on there, son.
I'll take a look at.
No, you don't have mass cure wounds. There we go.
I guess I'll start prayer of healing.
Okay, if you are sure with the 10-minute casting time, then yeah, you begin casting prayer of healing. Just sort of like trying to remember, like I imagine within the first 6 seconds, you're just trying to remember what that prayer was that you were told ages ago back in your tribe sort of thing, and trying to sort of like be like, oh, how does it start again? Going on, but yeah, you begin casting that spell. Cool. Next up is Navedo. Navedo, you are concentrating. I meant to stick a little concentration thing on you there. On Charm Person on Mittens. Mittens has been grappled, which isn't necessarily. Yeah, he's been grappled by other people, so it doesn't break the Charm Person. What would you like to do?
Well, it's by my staff.
Borasoth has been thinged by your staff. Yes.
Oh,
Mittens has been
sorry,
charmed.
Mittens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you like to do?
Don't know if I can really add any value. No. So I'm going to do nothing.
You're going to do nothing?
Yeah.
Alrighty. In which case, we get to Mittens' turn. So Mittens is being grappled by Giri and by Daviak. And he's not very happy because his instructions were, help me defeat these guys. And Navedo, your instructions were, don't worry, everything that's happening to him is fine. Which could also, but clearly something bad is happening to him. But I'll say, because you're still charming him, I'll say that, okay, he believes he can wait for like a brief, I don't know, maybe moment just to deal with and maybe sort of go back on the previous thing and defeat some of these guys. So, just want to take one more look at the old sheet of Master Mittens here. Can you upcast that spell? Can you upcast this spell? Let me have a look. Let me just, because I just had an idea. Well, no, you can't. In which case, he's going to do this. You see Mittens pull out. What's his melee weapon now? Now that he doesn't have fighter stuff or barbarian stuff anymore.
Probably just back to our standard longsword.
Okay. So you see Mittens, before he pulls that out, he begins the sort of tune to Thunderstruck on his bagpipes, before then putting it away. But even as he puts it away, the magic air around him just still sort of thrums with that tune length, just like all around him. And he pulls out his greatsword as he goes to cast Steel Wind Strike. Because
Ow.
fuck it. Because fuck it, he's going to Steel Wind Strike him. So Steel Wind Strike, flourish weapon used in casting, and then vanish to strike the wind. Up to 5 creatures you can see within range. Make a melee spell attack against each target. On a hit, the target takes 6d10 force damage. Now, he can basically target everybody except for Navedo, because he's charmed by Navedo and he won't do anything harmful to him. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4 out of the 5 targets. So let's see how many people he's going to hit. So the first one is going to be against Daviak, who's right next to him. So great sword attack comes in. It's going to be a 13. That misses Daviak. Next one's going to be against Giri. That is going to hit. So that's going to be... I'll roll all the damage for everybody at the end. Next one's going to be at...
It's a melee spell attack, I believe, Ben, rather than
is
a
it
weapon attack.
That
For
makes
Steel
things
Wind
very
Strike.
interesting. Melee spell attack. Yes, you are correct. So this is actually going to be charisma plus 6. Then I'll say that first one. I mean, that's only a plus. What would that be? Plus 1 to that attack. So 14. That would miss. 20. Then 4 would still hit Giri. That will definitely hit. Oh, actually, I don't know if that'll hit Kaiman. A 20, 21 plus. Oh, that's automatically adding things. So I guess plus 3 is 21 plus 3 is 24. Does a 24 hit you, Kaiman?
Shield.
Kaiman casts shield. And let's see if this one hits. So Dokramir. Plus 3 is 30. Yeah, 30 is definitely going to hit Doc. So what's the damage for it again? On a hit, the target takes 6d10 force damage. So let's get some. Oh, you know what? Fuck this! I didn't get my dice all ready, so we're just going to do it here. 33. So everyone except for Daviak takes 33, and Navedo takes 33 points of damage. I forgot, Navedo, you have a level of burning, do you not?
No, I stood in the waters.
Stood in the water. You're fine then. But yes, everyone takes 33 points of damage.
Wasn't a whole bunch of healing as well.
Pardon?
There's a whole bunch of healing at the end, wasn't there? I gets rid of burning, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like it just got shut
Oh
out.
yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, everyone did big heals. I'm pretty sure all the burning stuff's gone on everybody. Doc, that is literally just enough what you needed to keep the exorcism going. So good job.
How much was it, Ben? Sorry, damage.
You don't take this because he can't attack you because you're charmed. You're the one charming him, but he can end his turn within 5 feet of a target he chooses. And being that Doc seems to, he's smart enough to see that Doc's the one who's controlling a lot of what's happening here, he's going to just interpose himself between there, and he's just going to say to Doc, like, please stop what you're doing. Please. Just awkwardly over you. Please, small dwarf. as he's a very, very tall man. That's pretty much Mittens. Borasoth is incapacitated, can't do anything. You watch as more of this sort of demon hellfire spirit elemental, whatever you want to call it, begins pulling its way out. Now it's I'd probably say about chest to sort of like rib cage, like just below the rib cage out, and it's just like you can see these two appendages almost like arms just flailing and screaming in the air. You're not sure if they're like meant to be arms or if that's just the flames flickering around, but it is somewhat horrifying. One thing of note that I might have forgot about as well, so how Borasoth summoned him was he had a scroll that he placed upon his belt. That is still technically there. You'd all know of. But next we go to Giri. What would you like to do?
Hello, old friend. I'm gonna shout at. I'm gonna ask Doc if he's nearly done.
But as you know, something's happening. I've never done this before, but something is happening. So we'll just keep this up until it finishes.
Okay. And then I'm gonna take some strikes at Mittens.
Alrighty, roll to hit.
So I've got advantage on these. I'm flanking. So I'll go -5 on this one.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Gary gets
All right.
for a rug.
It's the wrong sword, but still, it's the same thing. So yeah, I hit on the crit, so we'll get there. So 20 there, and then what is it?
4d12.
42 damage.
42 damage.
Mine plus 10, 52.
52 damage. Jeez.
Let's drop it nukes on this cat.
Yeah, pretty much. You unleash this first strike, which, he's charmed, and he also doesn't seem altogether fully there, so he's just there like, please stop, you're hurting my master. Please stop. Please stop. Suddenly Giri just appears and like traditional sort of Japanese samurai movie sort of shing, pulls out a sword, and then the slash happens and it just like slashes up his back. And this like lion roar sort of bursts out his back as he's just suddenly racked with pain. That's your first attack.
Yeah, we'll go again with the -5. 20.
20 does hit. Yeah, easily.
14.
14.
And then I will, I think, use my rapid strike. So
Wait, 14, so that's actually 24.
oh yeah, thank you for remembering. 24. Right, so part of my fighter thing is I've got a thing called rapid strikes. If I have advantage on one of my hits, I can forego that to then get another hit. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do 2 more hits without advantage.
Okay.
So I won't be doing the -5 here, but just 2 swift strikes. 1.
Yep.
2, which I assume both hit.
Both hit, yep.
15, 11, so 26.
And just like that, with these 2 more
This is like
strikes.
to knock him out, by the way. It's not to kill him.
Okay. I would say, so with these 2 more deft strikes, just sort of carving at, I would say, non-lethal necessarily parts of the body, like the sort of like inside of his calf and just sort of over his shoulder, things like that, and finishing it with a final sort of bonk on the back of his head with the hilt of your blade. Mittens just drops, just completely drops like a light out on the ground. And is down. I'll say with that, we can drop out of initiative briefly. As the threat is pretty much neutralized. You feel your spell fizzle out Navedo as the charm sort of wears away because it's been incapacitated. And yeah, so as the sort of turns go on, you can see, as I said, this elemental sort of go from sort of like rib cage out to sort of just sort of like hips out, and then as it sort of gets to where you think, though he doesn't really like have like legs, it's almost like the sort of bottom half of this being is sort of just like flame and spinning, swirling smoke. And as it gets to sort of like where, I don't know, you might assume sort of like knees might be, this tether, this sort of black tether, shears from Balzanor's back, pulls and wraps around Borasoth. Like this tether of just like pure bright red, not like fire red, like pure like crimson red, wraps around the bottom of Borasoth and inside the sort of like back and chest of Balzanor, who, by the way, now most of his face has been revealed, sort of all the way up his arms, up his shoulders. It's pretty much now just like his torso and around, like just like his back area. Everything else, you know, he's Balzanor again. You can see him just as he was at the end of that fight with Yara. Though you guys didn't necessarily see him, Doc did. You know, a couple of scratches on his face, a couple of scars, but otherwise looking just as he was. I mean, nude, but looking just as he was. But he is screaming and roaring and crying out, as this is clearly extremely painful for him, as he's just on all fours, still like, you know, spouting sort of like fire from his mouth every now and again, sort of smoke from his nose. His eyes are burning. But this red tether seems to wrap around the bottom of Borasoth, and something, Doc, as you're forming the spell, something is just stopping. You can feel just this. You can feel in and of yourself just this like block, this just stopping force. That's almost as you're using your will to push him out. Something else is almost, yeah, just almost like a pin, pinning him in place and pinning in your mind as well, pinning in your chest. You can feel that as it's pulling against it.
Yeah. Really just call out something along the lines of, he's too strong, he's too tightly bound, we're going to have to try something else. We're going to have to go in instead of pulling it out.
Go in.
Yeah. There's another ritual I can do. I can cast 4 of us in from the inside, like a sort of projection. And from the inside, we can try and cast this thing out, sever that tie, whatever it is, and then from there, we should be able to get rid of Balzanor. Or get rid of Borasoth and save Balzanor.
He's revealed his true allegiance.
Ah, shit. Quick. Heal on Mittens, let's go.
Okay, well, no time like the present.
Let us do this.
Okay. You just call out Daviak, watch over him.
Right.
Mittens, make sure he doesn't do anything to us while we're inside.
Oh, I tell you what.
Deviak sort of walks over to him and, you know, begins like binding him up with some like rope or some like manacles that he's got. What were you going to say, Navedo?
No, I was gonna say something about using meld into stone, but that's only on myself.
Ah, fair enough.
So it's
Yeah, that would be pretty good. Yeah, Daviak sort of comes up, puts some handcuffs on Mittens, and just sort of drags his body over to where he knows like the sort of like entrance way is over here, and he just says, all right, you guys go, I'll watch over Mittens. I'll just make sure things are if you're projecting yourselves, I'm assuming your bodies are going to be still here, so I'll watch out for them and make sure nothing happens to Balzanor or anything like that. Good luck. We're counting on you guys. Yeah, good luck. And Doc,
Okay.
with a just that handcuffs have been invented. Handcuffs have been a thing for a very, very long time.
Nah, not like handcuffs like they are today. Maybe like
No, they're like
shackles.
yeah, shackles. That's what I mean. Shackles. Although when you think about it, it's not that realistic. All handcuffs are is a series of pins that sort of just, and then they stop you pulling it out.
It's very intricate work, Ben.
It's very
They make
intricate
guns.
work. Yeah, people are making guns. I feel like if people can construct, like fucking magical all sorts, if you guys can construct a weapon that can kill a god, people can make fucking handcuffs, okay?
Well,
I feel like
what I'm
we can
saying is
stretch our minds that far.
handcuffs apparently were invented in 1965. Okay, so they made guns like 300 years before they made handcuffs.
And what does
Yeah,
that say about
because
the human race? We invented more violent ways of killing before we invented ways to stop people.
Of containing.
that is wow.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
Anyways, somewhat interesting. I really thought we'd invented handcuffs a lot longer ago. Anyway, so Doc, you prepare this ritual, and you've never used it before. It was one of those like off lessons that you would have learned, or off things that your mentor would have taught you. And it is essentially a sort of like twisting the sort of casting of this spell. So you don't need to cast the spell again, but over the sort of remainder of the minute, you sort of are focusing on this individual, but also you are sort of connecting the willing souls of the 4 people around you to this creature, as it is a projection of your souls going into this creature. And you sort of take the time, you close your eyes, you perform this sort of incantation, and sort of almost asking Apollo for the guidance. And then all of you just suddenly feel this hug in your chest, almost like, have you ever seen those videos where like people are like wearing a harness or something, and there's like a rope attached to the back of them, and then they're suddenly just pulled and yanked like really fast, almost off their feet? That is exactly the feeling that you will suddenly just feel, just ripped backwards. And as this happens, your vision just fades to black, and then you appear somewhere very, very different. You appear in a hellish landscape. Volcanic rock and magma and lava sort of all around you, these different plateaus of different things. And ahead of you is a castle made from just pure iron, like at the ash of the fire and smoke and everything of the area, and of the sky as well. The sky is just black with ash, and this ash seems to have sort of stuck to the surface of this castle, making the metal very muted and black and kind of horrid. There are many sort of devilish statues of horrifying minotaur-like creatures up on the sides. It's a very, very intricate place, but yeah, certainly very, very evil and very, very devilish. And ahead of you is a doorway, a sort of like portcullis that does appear to be open. As far as you can see, as far as many of your visions go, there is no one around. You appear to be alone here. But when you listen carefully and just faintly listen to the wind, though it does sound at first like wind just like blowing through the area, there's that almost undertone of screaming, like Balzanor, screaming, roaring, and crying in like an howling in pain, as if there's just that very faint undertone of what's happening outside. You all appear pretty much exactly the way that you were before. However, this is a projection of your soul, and therefore it is a most perfect version of yourself, or at least most perfect version of how you see yourself. So, for example, Giri, you might be a little bit more buff. And none of your stats change, but you might be a little bit more buff. Maybe your armor is this radiant samurai-esque armor. Navedo, maybe, your skin is just completely like stone, like the mountains, or whatever. Kaiman, maybe you suddenly just have a chicken leg in your hands. Doc, whatever. Does anyone have any? How would you all perceive yourselves if you were the sort of perfect version of yourselves?
Well, being a druid, Navedo's very in touch with nature, so he would just be.
Speaking as a vegan,
he'd be naked.
yes,
Um,
I could fully believe that.
A little leaf over his cock.
only to keep it PG.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We're a PG show, of course.
So that's Navedo, just as he is, but just with no clothes.
As he is, but just butt naked.
I think Giri would be probably without armor, so just like try to think of a way to word this. Like it's not the tools that make the fighter; it's the person. So it would just be Giri, obviously with the sword still, if you like. Just
Also naked.
Fuck it, why not? Just with 2 leaves here and 1 leaf here. Yeah, no, I think just in like quite like sort of the sort of thing she'd wear around back at home. So
Yeah,
it's
it's very sort of average. Yeah.
Japanese wear and stuff. But yeah, no armor.
Yeah. How about Doc? How would Doc sort of see a more perfect version of himself?
Doc would probably see the perfect version of himself. He'd probably consider the best version of himself, which is when he was during that sort of like 6 months to year out, when he was doing a lot of traveling and helping the Dragonborn, which is probably what he feels like is his biggest accomplishment. So he'd probably just be in like fairly like plain like travel attire.
Yeah, some like scrap bits of armor from like your regular armor set every now and again, but pretty much mostly just travel attire. Doesn't change any of your in-game statistics or anything. You technically still have that,
Yeah.
that same AC and stuff, but it is visualization. What about Kaiman? How would Kaiman view a more perfect version of himself? What would he sort of look like?
He would be a gigantic metal crocodile. But he's just like all he does. He's just spread out on the floor, and just food just walks into his mouth.
Yeah. So just a gigantic, like an actual crocodile, or like a croxagore, like he is.
Oh yeah, I guess I guess a crocodile, but like he doesn't even have to get up, so he's like a pancake.
He's just pancaking it, and this like ethereal food is just dropping from absolutely out of nowhere into his mouth. Yeah, it is. It is really something to see. There's like stains all over the metal, which is actually very, very shiny and very well made. It's almost pardon?
So like, yeah, and he's like a big furnace because he doesn't have to worry about like skin chili.
Yeah, I like that. There's like a big sort of furnace in his chest and stomach and things like that, and there's like that faint sort of glow of heat between the plates of the metal that sort of make him up. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so you all appear in these various forms, and there's this massive castle in front of you. Portcullis is up. There is like a so sort of like there's like a portcullis, and then obviously like a drawbridge which is down over like a moat of lava. There's rivers of lava all around you. What would you all like to do?
Probably, well, after sort of taking everyone's idealized selves in for a moment, I'd probably say We need to be careful here. I've been able to cast our souls into the essence of Balzanor and Borasoth from where they're tied, but if you take damage here, if you are killed here, it will affect your actual soul. You can be severed from your body and won't be recoverable.
No pressure.
Yeah.
No
so
pressure.
Before we go any further, how's everyone looking?
Pretty weak, as it goes.
I could do the bit.
Okay.
I'm just over half.
Yeah, so if
Oh,
I
that's
cast
nice.
a Mass Cure Wounds, which would give everyone 3d8 24 plus my spellcasting mod, which is 6, so 30 plus the level of
34.
the spell
Oh,
plus 2.
yeah.
So 37. Everyone will get 37 hit points back.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, which is enough to affect me after Mittens sliced off all my arms and legs.
My prayer.
Oh, whatever happened to your
Yeah.
spell that you did? Simon.
Your prayer of healing spell, you started it, but you didn't fully get through the 10 minutes, so the spell faded. You didn't lose the spell slot because you didn't get through the 10. I'm going to say that for the purposes of this, yeah, you didn't lose the spell slot because you didn't get through the 10 minutes. So, and you got 2 rounds into it, so that's just about speaking. So you didn't lose the spell slot. You can cast that now if you want to. You guys don't know how long you got, but you don't even know if time works the same in here, but it's up to you guys what you want to do.
Anything faster coming?
Yeah, might as well. Do I increase the level though?
Do you 2d8 at first level? So
I'll go for 4.
fourth,
Four,
right?
seven.
So that is 4d8. So roll 4d8 and add 5.
5.
Whoa, not great. Everyone gains 17 hit points on top of what they had. If everyone needs it, as Kaiman sort of goes through and just sort of does this, I don't know, like chanting or this is old sort of lizardfolk-esque prayer that he says in a very sort of different kind of draconic thing you've ever heard before.
Sounds like a religion.
Yeah, with that done, 10 minutes go by.
What I'm feeling is like a nice bit of morphine, and then Carmen's is like a Red Bull.
In terms of equipment, we've still got all our gear and stuff like that, but in terms of inventory, have we still got access to all of that?
What do you mean?
Because I've still got, we've still got our armor, our weapons, the stuff we were sort of wearing and holding, but all all the things that are like potions and stuff that we would have been in bags and
yeah. You still have access to all of that,
Okay.
like potions and sleeping bags and all those sort of stuff that you came here with. Yeah, you still have access to that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't sure whether...
Yeah, it's really, really weird because even Navedo as being a naked person, even if Navedo were to think oh, do I still have this stuff? You just have to think about the thing that you had on you at the time, and it suddenly just appears on your side as if it's in a pocket somewhere, and you just reach for it. Or Doc, you're not wearing your armor, but you just need to sort of think about parts of your armor for a minute, think about your wrist braces, and as you touch your hands, there's almost this facsimile or suggestion of these braces as you get your hands close and you begin to touch them. It's a very, very strange state of, it's almost like in a video game how you have a video game skin and then there's the collision box around it, so it's almost the collision box thing is the sort of thing you're touching, but your skin is how you see yourselves in that perfect light. Yeah, without further ado, you can head towards this large iron castle. Head sort of over the drawbridge and inside. As you head into the sort of main place, you can see there is no one around, just lots more sort of statues and different things. And over the walls of the inside of this castle, it almost seems like the castle has been split, almost 50-50. On the left-hand side of this main door that you can see, this large, like sort of square iron door. On the left-hand door, you see an image of Balzanor. You recognize it as Balzanor. It has the sort of like that same sort of like jawline and some similar, like markings and natural sort of birthmarks and tattoos that Balzanor had. But it's almost in that sort of Greek pottery style. So everything's like 2D, sort of sideways. And that goes from the sort of left door, but also along the walls of the castle as well. On the right side, you see Borasoth, a much more imposing Minotaur figure, and you can see the cracks like stone over his body and things like that. And a similar sort of, but more demonic sort of pictures and illustrations go across the wall on the right-hand side. There's this large iron door, and as you walk up to it, it just creeps open, and this wall of smoke just silently just blows out, pushes out, as if like smoke has built up inside this space for many, many, many years and is now just being released. As you head inside, you head into a foyer with yet another massive iron door, but this one looks much more complex. There are 2 bars either side of the door, each linking to a locking mechanism for each of the sort of doors. This locking mechanism is, big iron, like this, like dark iron, very complex and very, very sort of hardy. And they each connect to sort of, different mechanisms that lead left and right. Once again, on the left-hand side, you can see this time a statue of Balzanor stood sort of leaning against his great club, chilling out as you might see him on an average day. On the right, you can see Borasoth stood very stoically and mightily in front of his massive great club. Next to these spaces are doors. So there's a door, big, massive, locked door in the middle. There's a door on the left, next to the Balzanor statue, and a door on the right, next to the Borasoth statue. What would you like to do?
Like, the best port of call here is to try and find the essence of Balzanor within. If we can find it and get it to help us somehow, we can use his strength to our aid when we have to overcome Borasoth, potentially. And in doing so, can allow Balzanor control of himself once more.
Do you think we should go through the door that's the Balzanor statue next to it? Or is that a bait?
That's my instinct.
Navedo opens the door.
Yeah, you guys are discussing this, and you just hear this sort of like of Navedo just pushing open the door and walking inside. Navedo, inside you see not a sort of iron castle, but a cave. Cave made of stone, sort of all around this area. It's almost like a dome sort of thing of just naturally worked stone, except all around the sides of the wall seem like, again, these are almost like Greek pottery-esque images of minotaurs fighting in a ring. And it almost seems very similar to sort of like sumo. So there's this like small ring, sort of like, maybe sort of like 15 to 20 feet in diameter. And you see images of these, minotaurs sort of at first sort of getting ready, almost like sprinters positions at the edges. And then in the next illustration, they're charged at each other, horns bared, smashing their heads into one another, smashing their bodies, pushing, shoving, punching. In one of them, you see someone like literally jump over a Minotaur so that the other one sort of goes, underneath him and out of the ring. And it seems in this, it is a sort of contest of who can get the other one out of the ring. But you also see others where Minotaurs are pinning another Minotaur to the ground. Ones where a Minotaur is on top of the other one, punching and slamming their fists and horns and everything they have into another who is on the ground so that they submit. And there is one such image where a Minotaur just impales another on its horns. That one dies and it takes victory. In the center of the room, funnily enough, is a circle on the ground. And as you enter, a sort of apparition appears, almost first like a ghost, but then it solidifies into the form of a very large, demon-esque Minotaur. Imagine a large Minotaur with red fur, small sort of golden-esque horns, sort of large fists and sort of braces and shackles around its fists. For reference to this, you can look up a Garistro, very sort of demonic-looking Minotaur creature, and it stands on the very edge of this circle. It is considered a large creature. It's about sort of 10 to 12 feet tall, and it stands on the edge of this circle. It points its sort of hand at you, and then gets itself ready on the edge of the circle to what you can infer is to face off in one of these contests.
I really want to polymorph into a giant ape.
Yeah. Why would
Do
you
you?
not do it?
I'm just checking how strong they are.
You won't get much better on a polymorph form, apart from a T-Rex, maybe. But that doesn't seem
Would
fair.
it be better for you to polymorph someone else so you can maintain concentration without taking any damage?
True. I could polymorph someone. A T-Rex has more strength than a giant ape.
I feel like a
But it's
giant
less
ape is
dexterous.
more suited for this. It's got the limbs for
Yeah,
sort of
it feels-
grappling and shoving.
It feels more gladiatorial and
Yeah.
I'm gonna polymorph Giri into a giant ape because she's
All right.
Basically
Wow.
halfway there already.
Yeah. So
Would you like
you
it?
walk your naked self
Is that
up to
big?
Giri, and yes, transform Giri into a giant ape. Giri, you become huge and a massive fucking ape. Somewhat mindless. You do gain the sort of intelligence of a giant ape as well, so you're not incredibly intelligent, but I would say that you still know what is going on. You know what the sort of somewhat plan
I can
is.
promise you my goes will not be any different from when I was actually controlling Giri.
you get +6 to strength, so
Nice.
Right. So, what this will be then is, so you've transformed into a giant ape. You've stood to the edge of the ring, and as you stand on the edge of the ring, another ghostly apparition is created. This ghostly apparition is of an individual you know very well, of Balzanor. However, he's much younger. Balzanor is between sort of 25 and 30 years of age. You think this version of Balzanor is maybe sort of around between 16 and 18. He's, like much younger. And he says in his still just about sort of croaky, like cracking voice, sort of pointing to the two huge monsters before him. Are you ready? He points to the Garistro, and it sort of looks at him. Just, are you ready? Points to the giant ape. Is the giant ape ready?
Can I
Nice.
cast bless on Giri to give a 1d4 to attack rolls and saving throws.
1d4 to attack rolls and saving throws. All right, you have bless. Anything you'd like to cast, Kaiman?
How are we now?
Still wouldn't say no to a little bit of heals.
I'm maxed out.
Oh yeah, I need. Actually, I'm
I currently have an additional 157 HP.
Yeah,
Don't
you're
worry
fine.
about, don't worry about me.
Yeah, you are a-okay. Right. If you're not necessarily casting anything on Giri, then I would say, Giri, as a giant ape, could you please roll me up an initiative as Balzanor then raises his hands above his head in a very ceremonial manner and claps his hands.
That'll be +2, so 11.
11. What's the Garistro got in terms of initiative? Straight roll, and the roll's a 10. Giri is first in the initiative. Now, this sort of worked a little bit differently. This is just going to be a sort of like skill challenge of who's sort of pushing. However, this is giving you an edge. This is giving you a definite sort of this is giving you a sort of head start. So you will have to push this individual less spaces out of the out of the ring. I meant to draw up something, but I never did. So if we imagine, and this is going to be very, very good here. So, well, we imagine. I'm aware I'm drawing on the GM layer, but give me a second.
If I imagine my idealist self, can I pull out a banner that says "Go Giri" on it?
You absolutely can. Fuck it. Yeah. So if we imagine it a bit like that, I didn't realize you guys were already drawing stuff.
Oh, okay. Don't you worry.
Right. So if we imagine this like that, and we imagine that this one on the right is Giri. Giri, you are here.
Mhm.
And what could I use for a Garistro? I'm gonna use
Balzanor?
I'm gonna use fucking Pumba.
Oh, I love it.
Imagine
It's beautiful.
that as the Garistro. So what's basically happened is you've both ran in here, but Giri, you've managed to get an edge. Actually, there's one missing. Sorry, there's one there.
No, I just see the little figure you'd put in. That's cute.
That is cute. So this is the so this is how it stands here. So you've got an edge over him. You have less spaces to push this figure, but you don't necessarily have to push this figure if you would like. So he's going to try and push. So you'll still be making athletics checks. But is there anything you would like to do other than pushing, or are you just going to straight up try and push him out?
Just push him out the ring.
Just push him out the ring. All right, this is going to
If
be.
it's athletics, I don't want to be ungrateful, Luke, but I actually have better athletics as Giri. But we'll do it.
That is unfortunate. Yes, this is going to be athletics. So roll me an athletics check, which would just be a straight strength check for the giant ape. Oh, it's not a great roll as well for the Greastro.
26.
26. That beats a 15. Yeah, the first push is very much yours, and you manage to push this creature back, sort of almost grabbing it by the horns as it charges in before you, and just sort of pushing it down and shoving it backwards and backwards. Next up, it is actually going to try and I think it's going to try and lift you. It's going to try and it is the same size as you. It's going to try and lift you on its shoulders. So this is going to be its strength compared to, I guess this would just be another strength check.
Instead of athletics, or
Well, they're the same for a giant ape. So, and for a Greastro. So, this is just roll me another d20. Add your strength.
Oh,
Fuck's sake, man. Yeah,
It's
that
dead.
definitely beats it. So it tries to sort of like get under you and lift, but it just doesn't quite work out. And instead, you manage to just push it down and very, very quickly shove it out of the ring. How do you envisage yourself pushing this thing out as a giant ape?
Another thing is it tries to lift me. It's like really planted and just struggling. So I almost just like right myself a little bit and then just like kick one of its standing legs and that just cripples it and then it's just like a literal like roll out.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool. Yeah, and this thing just rolls out of the ring, sort of tumbles a little bit, gets back up. Steps to the ring. Another. This is me. And he gets ready on the edge of the ring for another combatant. So one of you have beat this creature. Who would like to go next?
Navedo, you're just gonna cancel your polymorph and put it on yourself.
That's exactly what I'm going to do.
So Giri, you just transform back into a regular Giri, and the naked form of Navedo transforms once more into a giant ape, and that's very convenient because we can just use the same tokens. So, the both of you sort of get on the edge of the ring again. The form of Balzanor points to the Greastro. Are you ready? Greastro nods, points to you, Navedo, as a giant ape. Are you ready? Nice.
That kind of
Raises
hurts.
his hands, claps his hands, and roll some initiative for me, please, Navedo. +2 to your roll as a giant ape. Oh, I'm using a different dice. Dice is bullshit.
Oh, get it.
No, you've just
Yes,
rolled out
yeah.
all the bad ones, Ben. Like, the good ones are loaded up, ready to go now.
Yeah, so once again, these two creatures charge before one another, and there is this explosive just as their bodies hit, but the giant ape manages to have the advantage here. Giant ape, what would you like to do? Are you just straight pushing, or are you going to try something a little bit more flamboyant or a bit different here?
I really want to try and fling it out.
Want to try and fling it out?
Yeah.
How would you literally lift it up and throw it?
You know, like I don't know, like when you're kind of a kid and your parents want to like hold your hands and like swing you around so your feet come off the ground.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like grab its tusks and try and do that to like discus it or whatever. That.
Okay, I'd say that's still very much strength as you're trying to sort of gain the momentum to grab it and sort of twist it and spin it out. So yeah, roll me a strength check, and we'll see if you can get off.
Oh.
I will tell you my last few rolls. First one was a 12. Then I rolled 3, 2, 3. Fuck's sake.
So there's a 9.
But that is a 3. So that's a 9. Oh, but its strength is +7, so it gets 10. So unfortunately, you don't manage to swing it out. In fact, what happens is it manages to push you back one. As you try and sort of push around to get the momentum, it sort of takes you on its shoulder and just like digs its hoofs in and starts just charging forward. But the next round is up. Would you like to do? Are you trying the same thing, or
I'll just go for the regular old push?
Go for the regular old push. Roll me up a strength check. +7. We've got a 19. You have a what's that? +6. So that is a 14. This creature pushes you ever closer to the edge, and as you get to the edge, you begin to sort of like you can almost feel like the edge is a sort of divot in the ground, and you can almost feel that just on the back of your toes as you're being pushed there. Next round, what would you like to do? You're right on the edge. This thing is pushing you sort of with its horns, with its hands sort of like on one shoulder and on sort of like your like hip. Its horns like right in your chest pushing. What would you like to do?
How big are these things?
So this thing is technically smaller than you. Technically one size smaller. So you're huge. So you're about 15, 16 feet tall. It's about 12 feet tall.
Okay. I'm just wondering if there's any chance I could unpolymorph and roll out of the way, and it uses momentum to take itself out of the ring.
That is actually a possibility. I would say that would be probably a dexterity save on your behalf, like using Navedo's stats. Or an acrobatics check, either or. So that would be unpolymorphing yourself as a free action, and then sort of going shit and diving away, or diving through its legs, or something like that.
I don't want to do it just for the fun of it, but the stats don't stack up.
I mean, there's a 20 in every roll somewhere.
There is.
Lovely refreshing about you not behinding like a plus 15 modifier, like you normally do with Ormus. So
I would say as well. Is anyone on the edge of the ring doing anything? Is anyone casting any spells? Anyone doing anything like that?
Yeah, is anyone doing anything?
That's about all I've got.
Fair enough.
motivation for Navedo.
Thank you.
Motivation. Cool.
Dex save.
Dex save. All right. This is going to be. Is this going to be against a sort of check it makes, or is this going to be? Yeah, this is going to be against a sort of grapple check from it, as it's sort of trying to keep hold of you as you're unpolymorphing and dodging. So, roll me a dex save.
I'm not looking.
You can look, Luke.
Oh, twat.
15 on its part. So you will watch, yes, as this giant ape is being pushed back, and then all of a sudden it turns into the small naked form of Navedo once more. And then how do you dodge out of the way? How do you roll out of the way from this thing? Is it just keeps charging?
I like the idea of just rolling under its kind of feet.
Yeah, just rolling like under its legs. You just roll out. You hear the sort of like clump of hooves over you as this thing just almost goes over you and pushes itself outside of the ring. And as it sort of realizes you're not there anymore, it sort of falls, it stumbles, it sort of rolls, gets back up, and just sort of slowly rises. Rixie. Slams its hoof, and suddenly you begin to hear a mechanical from the doorway, from where you came. The Garistro stands before you, gets back to the sort of edge of the circle, gives a very, very low bow, and then just as quickly as it apparated here, almost like on a blow of wind, it disappears. However, in its place, something else apparates. Many somethings, actually. Lots of apparitions of Minotaurs, much like the apparition of Balzanor here before you. These sort of things are these many, many Minotaurs around you are created. And as they are all sort of created one by one, there's maybe about sort of 3 dozen, maybe sort of 40, 50 people here surrounding this ring. Suddenly a larger Minotaur, a sort of elder, sort of like dark, almost like graying fur, steps up behind Balzanor and says, "Balzanor, are you ready for your initiation?" Balzanor looks to him and just sort of nods and says, "This is what I've been training for, is it not? Let's get this over with." And he sort of cracks his knuckles and gives that cocky smile that Balzanor does every time before he casts a fireball or does something destructive. Balzanor steps into the ring and stands sort of right at the edge of the ring. He says, Everyone, and the sort of larger Minotaur says, everyone gather round. This is Balzanor. You all know him. He has become one of our community, and now he wishes to join our tribe's warriors. But to do that, he must pass the initiation and beat one of us in our most sacred combat. And so, I welcome you here, Hrothgar, our finest warrior. And he gestures to another Minotaur who steps through the crowd and goes to the edge of the ring. And this Minotaur is a bit older than Balzanor and has much more sort of like lighter fur over his body, but much darker horns. Like very light fur, but almost like black horns. And he says, if we are ready, we may let the initiation begin. Are you ready, Balzanor? Balzanor nods. Hrothgar, are you ready? He nods. Begin! Claps his hands. The two charge towards each other, slam into each other, and there's this furious grapple pushing contest that lasts much longer than you guys once did. It's much more even contest. Balzanor tries sort of getting underneath his opponent, sort of like to charge it, basically like charge at his knee and take him out. But his opponent sees what he's doing and pulls his head up. His opponent then just starts like striking Balzanor. And if you've ever seen those videos of like football hooligans trying to fight, like with fists, like there's no blocking involved. It is just wild swinging. That's basically what this very quickly turns into. Just these two men just wildly swinging at one another. No skill, no blocking, no care for their own safety. Just swinging very, very wildly. And as they do, every now and again, one of them sort of tries to push again, but they don't quite manage to get it. All the crowd are cheering for Balzanor. All these people cheering and roaring, Balzanor, come on, you can do this, you can beat him. Yada, yada, yada. A few sort of men on the sidelines saying, he's not ready to be a warrior. Come on. But eventually, one swing from Hrothgar manages to catch Balzanor just right on the jaw, and it does daze him. And with that daze, his opponent begins pushing him to the edge. The lighter-haired Minotaur begins pushing him to the edge, and Balzanor gets so close to the edge now that he's a little bit dazed, but he regains composure and begins pushing against his component right on the edge. And he tries sort of like a little bit like what Navedo did, sort of ducking out the way, but his opponent is too quick. He can't get out of the way. He tries pushing just harder back against him, but his opponent is too strong. There's nothing he can do here. He's locked in a stalemate, and you can see Balzanor just looking around at everyone, at all of the people here come to support him, at all of his tribe, at all of his clan, particularly this one larger Minotaur who's looking at him somewhat disapprovingly that he's been sort of caught on the back foot. And then you see smoke bellow from his nose, just and there's almost this like that sort of shimmer that you see in sort of like hot deserts or when something is particularly warm, that distortion around his body. And then his eyes glow bright red with fire, and they almost explode in flames. Smoke bellows out. His opponent begins backing away. He's realizing what the fuck's going on. Everyone's starting to get really worried, but Balzanor he's too angry. He's too focused. He doesn't notice anything that's going on with his body. He just sees it as his opponent tiring, his opponent getting weaker, and so he pushes and pushes and pushes. And eventually, he doesn't even get his opponent out of the ring. He knocks him to the ground before he can do that. And Balzanor begins to just like mount him and just start pummeling into his opponent. But people start running into the ring when his fists catch fire. Flame gouts from his fists, and he just starts punching and pummeling this other Minotaur on the ground. And this fire travels up his body, and suddenly he's wreathed in flame. Minotaurs begin rushing towards Balzanor, trying to pull him away, but he is on fire. No regular Minotaur can do this. They can't pull him off. And Balzanor is screaming and roaring, and suddenly there is just this explosive breath, almost like dragon's breath from his mouth, in his chest. When this fire finally sort of reaches the middle of his chest, there is this light, almost like a bead of light that expands. and Balzanor turns into just this ball of fire. All the apparitions in the room, all the light in the room just engulfs the room, and then you're left in darkness. And when the light finally comes back, when these torches and faint things throughout the room flicker back on, there is no one left here. No one left in this room. Balzanor sits in the center of the room, just on his hands and knees, this young Balzanor just breathing heavily. His eyes shut, smoke just billowing from them. And though there are no people here, you can see, you know, like when like a bomb goes off and you can see the shadow of people on the walls? Like that sort of like explosive sort of ash shadow on the walls. You can see that all the way around the circular partition of this room. Balzan was just on the floor, just sort of trying to rub his eyes, trying to sort of stop whatever's going on, and then eventually he does open his eyes. He turns around and, where? What? What? Oh no. What have I done? And then there is just this wind once again that fades his apparition to nothing. The door behind you opens almost on command, and you are allowed out of the room once again. Back in the center sort of place with the big locked iron door, you can see one of the bars across the two doors has retracted. The bar that was leading off left, that is sort of retracted back. But there is still one bar across the two doors that is leading, and its mechanism is leading right towards the Borasoth room. And the door to that room just slightly, just sort of like slightly sort of like opens. And again, this sort of smoke begins to sort of bellow out. But yes, I was going to say exactly the same thing, and I think it's it's a pretty good time for a very quick break before we sort of get back into this sort of mini dungeon, I suppose. So yeah, that's cool with you guys. I'll see you guys in 5 minutes. shall we begin?
You all right?
What?
Alrighty. Cool. In which case, yeah, let's begin. So, you stand now in the center of this room. The only door that is, well, the previous door, the one on sort of Bowser on the side, is open if you want to go back in, but there's nothing in there. The other door on Borasoth's side awaits you.
Right, let's see what. Are we going to learn about Borasoth's tragic backstory on this side?
He was definitely bullied as a kid.
And just sort of turn to like Giri and Navedo. It's like, did any of you guys know about Balzanor's past? Like, you guys knew him best, right?
Yeah, no. Wasn't a very chatty boy. So
I can understand why.
So I feel like relationships born out of war tend to be a little fickle. Onwards and upwards, gentlemen.
Onwards and upwards. You push forth into this other space, and you appear in a fairly blank room that is maybe sort of about 50, 55 feet wide, 50, 55 feet long. It's like a square stone room. All across the walls are sort of illustrations and designs, again in that sort of like Greek pottery, Egyptian hieroglyph-esque thing of, it seems like a sort of army. It's almost like the sort of like bio-tapestry kind of thing of a war happening. And, you know, in this war, there are minotaurs, many, many minotaurs battling against all sorts of creatures, elves, dwarves, people, all sorts of creatures. These elves, by the way, definitely look like drow. You'd all know drow. They definitely look like sort of dark elves, and the dwarves definitely look like the underground dwarves you guys all fought against. Duragar, that's it. Duragar. And there is this definite but however, some of them also look like, you know, humans and different things. A lot of the battles look like they take place sort of underground. Some of them look like they take place overground as well. There's lots of burning and fire and everything going on. And the leader of this army does seem to be Borasoth, the sort of figure you recognize. There are, however, 5 symbols on the wall around you. There's one on the far back that is in a sort of like blue. There's almost a glowing blue. There's 2 on the left wall, glowing white, glowing black. There are 2 on the right wall, glowing red and glowing green. You're not exactly sure what these symbols mean. They're just sort of there, sort of glowing, almost pulsating, a little bit sort of strangely, almost a little bit like a heartbeat, like whoom, 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 whoom. And as you enter the room, suddenly the door shuts and just melds with the stone behind you. And appearing before you are 5 elementals, it seems. 5 sort of like fire elementals just appear, but they look almost Minotaur-esque. They each have sort of like horns like a Minotaur and that faint sort of resemblance of a Minotaur, but they are still sort of twisting and burning fire and smoke. But each one of them is a different color. There's one that is regular red fire, but there's one like a bright blue fire, there's one like a bright green fire, one like a bright white fire, and one that's a deep dark black flame. And they all sort of stand before you almost like they're ready to charge, like they're ready to attack. And with that, gentlemen, as you step in and this door closes, I'll bring you over to this map. And we will roll, if you could, some initiative for me, please. Bum, bum, bum. All right, so what have we got? We've got Dot up first, followed by Giri, followed by Carmen and Navedo. Each roll me a d20. Roll off.
Rollies.
Navedo goes before Kaiman, it seems. Navedo, Hyman. Right. So the initiative order is just in the corner for everyone to see. But yes, you see these 5 elementals appear before you. Doc, you are up first. What would you like to do as these 5 things just appear?
Okay, I'm going to step over to the side here in front of this black symbol, and I'm going to cast at 2nd level spiritual weapon. Where's it gone? Where is my spiritual weapon? Where the fuck is my spiritual weapon in my attacks? I don't know. I'll roll a d20.
D20 plus 11.
Yeah, 11 plus 11. So 22 to hit the black one.
Yeah, your spiritual weapon is summoned, swings through the black one, and much like your weapon would through any regular fire, just passes right through.
Okay. Well, as it does, I'm gonna try and taunt or goad the black one, using the weapon as a red rag to a bull to shout out, try and get their attention on me.
Okay.
And
I'll
then
say roll me I mean either persuasion or intimidation, but I'll say given that you're using your spiritual weapon, you can use your wisdom for it.
Okay. Wisdom check then.
17, yeah, you as this thing swings through it, it definitely, yeah, you do notice this black one does look at you and does seem very, very intent on coming for you first, it seems, as you're definitely goading it towards you.
And then I want to use my action to dodge. So get you
Use your
to move
dodge.
out of the way if it charges at me.
All right, I like that. Giri, you are up next. What would you like to do?
So Doc swung at the black one, but it didn't seem to have any impact.
Didn't seem to have any impact. No, it just swung through, but this thing didn't even look at the spirit. I mean, it looked at the spiritual weapon, but as it passed through, it didn't react, it didn't change, it didn't anything.
Yeah. Thinking these symbols look a little bit similar to when we fought LDL. I'm gonna go up and give it a good old swat. 26.
26. Yeah, you run up to the wall. You do smack the symbol. A definite crack appears over the wall. Roll the damage for me. This will be halved because it's slashing against a sort of stone surface. That's 6 damage. That's not too bad. You do
roll that one, so that'll be 18 damage actually.
18 damage. That's pretty good. So yeah, 18 damage halved to 9. A definite sort of large sort of crack does appear over this wall. Certainly manages to damage it a little bit. Say put 9 in here. 5 here. Okay. That's your first attack. If you'd like to take any more.
Yeah, so that it's become cracked, the wall.
The wall is definitely cracked a little bit. The sigil has cracked. It's still glowing, but it's cracked. 30, 16, halved to 8. So that is numbers. I figured out the numbers.
26 damage total so far. That is wrong. No. Oh my god. 17 damage so far.
Yeah, 17 damage so far.
More for luck. Oh, wall, boys.
Crit a wall, this final slash, sort of just creating this loud ding. Yeah, yeah, you absolutely can do. Roll to hit again.
Wall again.
You definitely hit the wall again. Oh, that has been very, very favorable for you. So what's the total damage of that? That's 19 plus 8 is 27, half to 13. 13 plus 30 is 43, plus 17 is 60 points of damage.
Wouldn't you add up the 30 plus the 27 and then half all of that?
The force damage is not halved.
Oh, it's force damage. Sorry, I didn't.
The force damage from the perfect strike is not halved.
Oh, damn.
So
60.
So 60. Yeah, that is enough. You smash this. You absolutely smash this. This sigil, and on the third strike there is that like sort of like sound, and suddenly the symbol on the wall, like fades out of light as this massive crack appears over it, and almost like you have to take a step back a second because like part of the wall just crumbles over it and off. And the green elemental disappears. Fantastic. Is that everything on your turn, Giri?
Yep.
Sweet. Next up, it is these things. So this thing is going to, the black one is going to heed Doc's call, I suppose you could say, and it's going to try and charge up to Doc. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Technically, this thing just like runs through you, like because it is fire. It just passes straight through you.
That's kind of what I'm trying to goad it to do, and like then dodge out of the way.
Yeah, and that definitely seems exactly. And that is exactly what it does. It charges for you. Can you make me a dexterity saving throw to try and? I'm assuming you're trying to like dive out of the way here.
Yeah.
To move.
That's not great.
You have an advantage because you took the dodge action.
Oh, I do. That's much better. Thank you for the reminder.
Just passes. Doc, you take 30 points of fire damage.
Ow.
Sorry. No, yes, 30 points of fire damage. But this thing passes into its symbol, disappears, and the glow of the black symbol itself just disappears, completely goes away.
Nice.
The others, however, so there's 3 left, and there's 4 of you. I'm just gonna go for this like in sort of left to right order of where your characters are stood. So Doc is a 1, Navedo's a 2, Kaiman's a 3, and Giri is 4. Can I get Luke, Ryan, and Sam to roll me D4, please? So 4 is Giri. So the red one here is going to go for you. Number 1, that is Doc. The white one is going to go for Doc. And the blue one is also going to go for Doc. So
my taunting was too successful.
Yeah, so this one charges for you 5, 10, 15, 20. These things just pass through you and seem to just stop on the other side. So that is going to be, can you make me another dexterity saving throw, please? You have advantage because you took the dodge action.
17.
17 doesn't pass. Doc, you take 60 points of fire damage.
Oh, I'm in trouble, lads.
Next one runs up to you 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So it goes like here and then passes through you. Can you make me another dexterity saving throw with advantage?
I can pass this. Oh shit.
60 points of fire damage.
I'm down.
The dot goes down.
Does it work differently in this? What if it's just your soul?
Nope. Doc does just go down. He's not dead. He's down. So.
Right.
Oh, sorry, Doc. I meant to say, sorry. You passed the first save, so actually you take no damage. Sorry.
No damage.
Yeah, you take no damage if you pass because you successfully move out of the way.
Oh, that changes things.
Yes.
I still have HP.
Apologies. I was going with Fireball Brain. No, this is different. Like this is you succeeding to dodge out of the way, let it past you, and therefore it goes through. So if you fail the save, you get hit. If you pass the save, if you fail the save, you get hit. If you pass the save, no damage. And then this
I'm
one,
still
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35 gets you, Giri. Can you roll me a dexterity saving throw, please?
I have a feeling I'm not going to pass. Oh, God, that.
I'm really sorry.
Oh, it still does.
It still failed.
Even
It goes off Borasoth's DC. You know what? I'm gonna say that I do kind of like that. I've toyed in my head the idea that crits on saving throws should just pass. So I might be. I'll be kind. I'll be kind here and say that the crit passes. Because I kind of like that idea. So the crit passes. You take no damage.
Oh, they haven't expired, have they? They're still here.
They're still here. Yeah, they charge sort of through you, through some genius. You managed to just about dodge out of the way, like literally just barely. But they're still here. Then we get to Navedo. Navedo, what would you like to do? Can't hear you, Navedo. You may have muted yourself.
Yes, I had. Out of interest, a 60-foot cone, roughly from where I'm standing.
Yes.
Would that sort of affect all three of these?
So if you think a cone, yes. Yes, that would, yeah.
Maybe if I just step forward there. Yeah. Can I bonus action draconic transformation?
Ooh.
Oh,
I like
that
this
is
one.
fancy. Yeah. How does your naked Navedo? How does the draconic transformation?
Just flopping about.
It's just flopping about.
No, I guess like his skin goes a bit scaly, his fingers become a bit more claw-like, and sprouts wings out his back. That's what it
All
looks like. In my
I like
head.
that. So, you conjure that, and I believe it says when you cast this spell and as a bonus action on subsequent turns, you can do some damage.
Hmm.
So, would you like to roll me 68 for your breath weapon?
I would love to.
Does your breath weapon look like any particular dragon breath? I know it's force damage on there, but does it look like any particular dragon's breath, or is it just force?
I've not thought that far ahead. There's not really, is it? Would you say there's a mountainous dragon?
I mean,
particular?
many dragons sort of live in mountainous regions. You in Titan, from your time there, would be very used to either silver dragons, which do cold, or golden
do
dragons, which do fire.
Like a silver dragon.
Yeah, it's like this, like almost like burst of, almost like an avalanche comes from your mouth there. Nice. 28 damage to each of these. I like a lot.
And can I also fly up? Maybe like 15 feet.
Yes, of course. You can fly up 15 feet. This room is about sort of, I would probably say it is like a cube. So technically it is sort of 50 feet tall as well. So yeah, of course you can do that.
That ends my turn.
And thus ends the turn of Navedo. Kaiman, it is your turn. What would you like to do? You've seen these weird fiery minotaurs charge at people. you are a metal oven. What would you like to do?
How does healing work with us being not like here?
From what you've seen, it's worked exactly the same. When Doc cast the healing spell at the beginning, it seemed to heal everyone just as it did before. Though people didn't necessarily have the scars because they were, the perfect versions of themselves, you can somewhat just like intuitively tell that people are a little bit ragged, a little bit worn down.
God's, like, form is like slightly faint and maybe like flickering as he's taken 120 points of damage.
Yes.
I'll go give Doc some. I'll just give Draper maybe. It's probably too much. Is 70 health too much? You took like
120.
Yeah, I took 100.
Yeah. Yes, I will do regenerate then.
Regenerate is a minute casting.
Yeah.
You could do heal. That's the 70 hit point one.
Oh, I thought that was regenerate. Oh,
No, I believe heal is just like a massive dump of healing, which is like 7.
Oh, okay. I'll do heal at level 7. Should I do that?
Heal at level 7. Nice. Yeah. Roll for heal. I don't know how much you have to roll for heal.
You don't roll for heal. It's 70 at 6th level, and then it's an extra 10 for each level above that. So if he's doing that at 7th level, I'm going to get 80 hit points back.
Boom. There you go. Doc, you get 80 hit points back as Kaiman casts upon you some healing. Cool. If that's everything on your turn, Kaiman, we go back to Doc. Doc, what are you doing?
Okay, for a bonus action, I'm gonna send my spiritual weapon over to this. Actually, 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna send it over to the blue sigil and have it make an attack. There it is. Oh, sorry, that shouldn't have been an advantage. I will roll again.
Yeah, just roll that again.
That's a
19 hits a wall. Wall's AC is 18, so 19 hits a wall.
This is force damage from this, so 10 force damage.
10 force damage. 38 damage done to this wall so far. Nice. Yeah, your spiritual weapon hits the wall.
Okay.
Fairly big crack on it now.
It was like there, wasn't it? So it's gone 15. So I'm going to move it out of the way, and then I'm going to risk the attack of opportunity and go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. And basically attempt the same sort of like baiting type thing, trying to get this thing to go after its own sigil, like with like the attack on it and stuff like that.
Okay. I'm going to say this is just going to be a straight intimidation check because you're not waving anything in front of its face.
Yeah.
And as far as you've seen, these things don't seem to care too. Like none of these have seemed to particularly care that their sigils are being attacked or anything like that. And there's no attack of opportunity either. Almost like this thing outside of its turn just doesn't seem to care what guys are. It's almost like outside of its turn, it is just this motionless, still robot of a fire elemental. So yeah, this is just going to be a straight intimidation or persuasion, and with an 11, it's not quite good enough. You're sort of shouting over to it, but it maybe is not really sure whether it's you're looking at the white one or looking at it. It's not quite sure. It does briefly look at the white one, and the white one looks at it. Then they both look back at you, just with like blank expressionless faces. and that's pretty much it. Cool. If that is everything, Giri, what would you like to do?
Way up to this red one here. Give it the old sword special.
Give the old sword special.
20.
20 hits. That is.
I'm going to reroll both of them because they're both. There's a 1 and a 2. And I've only made it one better. So that's 12 damage.
12 damage.
Strike again. 14. I'll reroll that one. 18 damage.
18 damage. Halved is 9, so.
And then another crit on the wall.
Oh, you and your fucking crits, man. No one else gets this many crits.
I know.
That is insane. Yes, I can tell you quite positively that yeah, the wall gets absolutely obliterated. This part of the wall gets obliterated, and the sort of like that part of the wall, that sigil, just falls and collapses. You sort of have to take a step backwards as the as the wall collapses, and the red fire elemental just disappears, leaving just the 2 left. Now with just the 2 left, we're going to go again with Doc as 1, Navedo 2, Kaiman 3, Giri 4. So can we get JJ and Luke? Can you both roll me a d4 each, please, for these remaining 2?
Oh, rough.
No.
Who was 3? That was
Kaiman,
Kaiman. Okay.
I don't know if it was, but Luke was so quick. I think it was Karen, yeah.
No, because it was Doc.
I was-
Doc was
and
definitely
then
what?
Navedo
I
was right
I
in the
was
middle,
4.
and then so it was Kaiman. And you know what's really funny? Kaiman, you're immune to fire damage at level 17. So these things go bam, bam, and unlike in the fight with Borasoth, this tickles. That's just like this feels like, you know that feeling when you walk out of an airport on a holiday and that like blast of heat just hits you? That's about as much as you feel right. Yeah, that is pretty much it. That was the worst one they could have rolled. Good fucking job. And yeah, they just stop on the other side of people. So that's pretty much that. Next up we do have so we'll go around again with Navedo. What you doing?
Well, these guys are kind of in the way. There's a lot of
I
stuff.
realised at the end of my turn I've made an error.
I guess I'll just.
They got hit points.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I guess this white one is going to get a breath full of some pretty cold.
Fuck you specifically. I love it. Yeah, roll 68. 32. This white one goes kaput. That's exactly the number you needed.
I can't use a cantrip, can I? So I've used.
Yeah, you can use a spell as your action because you cast the spell last round. So this round you can cast the spell.
Would you rule that I can attack this sigil here?
Yeah, what with?
With primal savagery.
Primal savagery. Yeah, sure. What's the damage type of primal savagery?
It is I don't know what damage type. That's a spell description. I'm guessing it's acid damage.
Acid damage.
Yeah.
Really?
Interesting, right?
Yeah, then roll for primal savagery.
So it's 4d10.
It is 4d10. You need to make a melee spell attack first. So that is roll a wisdom check and add your add 6.
Okay. Is the
And add 6. Oh, I swear to God, you guys haven't rolled anything below like
23.
a 10 this evening. 23 hits a wall. Roll me 4d10. 22, not quite enough to defeat a wall.
gutted.
But it is certainly like this sigil is barely visible. Like there is just the faint.
It's not bad for a cantrip, is it?
That is pretty good. That's pretty good. 4d10 for a cantrip. That's really that's very, very good. Same as actually, I didn't realize that Primal Savagery was a d10. That's the same as Fireball. But for druids, that's actually very, very cool. And it's acid damage. Not a lot of things are resistant to acids. That's really, really cool. Cool. Kaiman, what you doing? You got tickled.
So just being close to it won't make it stick to me because it depends on all of them.
Nope. You saw Doc just run away from it and it didn't really care. And yeah.
Well, I think I'm gonna get the sigil thing, so I think I can just let's see. I don't.
If there's nothing you can do, you can just skip your turn or have a think about it. Yeah.
I don't think I need to heal or anything.
So you have a think, and we can come back to you if you think of anything. But right now, Doc, you're up. What would you like to do?
Well, I'm going to brush the dust off this hammer that doesn't get a lot of use these days and swing at a wall.
Alrighty. You actually get to make 2 swings at a wall with this specific hammer. So roll to hit with the hammer.
A 17.
A 17. Unfortunately, as you smack the wall, like, you hit a wall, but you just don't do enough damage to damage any of the structural integrity of the wall
I'm a
with
little
that.
rusty with the hammer.
He is a little rusty with the hammer, but you do get another swing because of this specific hammer.
Do I? I know I can make
Yeah,
an
as
attack as a bonus action with the hammer.
I thought, maybe that was it. I
I'm
thought
scroll- I'm
I
just
said when
scrolling
you make an attack with a hammer, you can make an additional attack.
Gosh. I will reread everything, but for the time being, I'll bonus action attack with the spiritual weapon again.
Okie dokie.
Oh, that's gone worse.
That has gone worse. Again, your spiritual weapon almost trying to strike in the same place.
Yeah.
Doesn't quite work out.
I'm just going to move out of the way so that someone more competently martial can get in there. Yeah,
All right.
I'm going to reread my hammer's description, but that's my turn.
Speaking of someone more competently martial, Giri Kuba. Fochen heya. I've been watching the Welcome to Wrexham series, and all the Scouse accents in that have been getting to me. Next NPC is gonna be Scouse. I'm telling you that right now.
Please don't.
Why not? Like,
that's why.
Roll to hit, Giri. Assuming you're going to be hitting. Oh, I think Sam might have gone.
Oh yeah, he's had enough.
Yeah, I think it was the Scouse accent that really just that did it for him.
Yeah.
He's back.
He's back. But his
20
audio is still garbled.
It is.
I could hear you, but all I got was.
Oh, I was actually so offended at the idea you were going to bring a Scouse character into the campaign that left.
That's understandable.
Yeah,
that is understandable. Yes, 27 hits and 14 damage, halved to that many, half to 7, and a 21 does hit. And with that, the final sort of strike in this, your sword's definitely going to need sharpening after all of this ordeal. But yeah, you strike it, and there's just one crack. And the whole facsimile of the wall falls, and the facade of the wall falls, and the final image, the final elemental just fizzles out. The room is empty. And after a few brief moments, you begin to hear these mechanical sounds of the door reappears over the wall and opens for you slowly. And as you begin to leave, the room falls dark and creatures apparate in the center of the room. One creature being a fairly familiar creature. They look very much like Borasoth, but much larger. So instead of, being like a large creature, they would technically be considered a huge creature. This huge minotaur with, again, sort of like volcanic rock sort of skin, and their horns are slightly more demonic, and they have sort of a secondary pair of horns that also come back and around. So they have that one set that come up and then one set that come round as well. And they have, rather than like a purely like minotaur face, their face is just that little bit more demonic, and you can see they have like those like sharp teeth, and their claws are much longer, and they have that demonic tail that sort of swings and twirls back behind them, and their sort of lower half is covered in what seems like fur, very much like that Beelzebub the style sort of devil sort of lower half. And this creature is stood next to this cauldron, and on the other side of the cauldron, this very, very large cauldron, is a woman that, Doc, you certainly recognize. It is Tiamat in her humanoid form. This beautiful, very sort of like pale-skinned woman with sort of like black lipstick, long dark hair, long sort of dark dress, and a necklace of 5 sort of beads of color. And she stares at Borasoth, and Torosoth stares down at her. The both of them stretch out their arms to this cauldron, and it's like their energy just exudes down, almost like these like strange flames. From Tiamat, these multicolored flames, but from Borasoth, just this pure flame and heat emerges into this cauldron. And after a brief moment, there rises a creature, Borasoth, the spawn of the two. Exactly as you'd seen him before, not quite as large as his father, but certainly more magically gifted. And as he rises sort of from the area, his father takes him in his arms and lays him down. And bear in mind, he's like born fully grown as like a man, and sort of sets him down. He says, "You shall lead our armies, my son. You will be our perfect warrior." Tiamat steps to him and says, "Yes, my child. You as Bremen. Destroy them." Borasoth nods, and almost robotically just turns, goes to walk out of the room, and there's just this wind that comes in and dissipates the apparition. You're both allowed to leave. No, you're all allowed to leave this room, as there is nothing else for you in here. In the center room, once again, these 2 locks, the sort of right lock that was on it has moved to the right. The door is now available to be opened. And as you step into the room, it does sort of slightly sort of crack ajar. And inside you can hear Balzanor screaming, crying in pain once more. This sort of howling and roaring of pain. Are you all going in? Is there any preparations you need to make before going in, or are you going in?
Ready to go in?
How's everyone
Ready to
looking
go.
before we do?
Oh, what?
How's everyone looking before we go in?
I didn't take anything in that room, so I feel alright. But
I've still only got 55 health.
Okay.
I'm not fully thinking of doing something as a group. But if it's focused,
that
I don't need.
case, I'm gonna pop the big heal, which is a level 3 aura of vitality, and so I initially get 5 for this, and take 3, 4, 5, and then I get 10 doses of
You're gonna wait outside the room for a minute.
yeah, I'm gonna pop this and start dishing health off.
Cool.
So and just start chucking out doses. I'll take the first 2 because that'll basically top me up 1 off full, and then I've got 8 doses of 17 to give out. So Luke, if you've got 55, I can give you 4 of those, which will be 17, 34, 68,
Sounds good.
which will leave me with 4 left. How are you looking, Kaiman?
I don't think Simon's taking any damage, have you, Ryan?
Not in this fight.
Okay. Then I can, if you can take the other 4, then Gary, I'll just give you another. I'll give you 68 as well.
Are you saying 68 or 68?
68, as in 6-8.
Oh, I don't need that.
Oh, okay.
I could do with 30, but that's it.
You
Okay, well,
ungrateful swine.
I'll give 2 to you. I'll give 17 to Kaiman, and I'll take the last one then because that'll top me up.
So what's
Only
what's 2?
Cool.
34. Basically, I don't have to roll for healing anymore, and so because it's Aura of Vitality, it's 2d6 plus 5 for me. So each one is 17.
34 actually saves me up to 100% perfect. That's satisfying. Not a drop wasted.
Lovely. Right. You all spend this minute sort of healing outside. You hear Balzanor crying, screaming in pain inside. Are you guys really wasting a minute out there? I'm dying in here. No, he doesn't
Know what we're doing.
He doesn't know. But you do eventually head, open up the door into the room. And as you do, it is this very, very large room. But it's also a very open plains. It is 2 spaces in one, a strange miasma of 2 different spaces. As I say, on the one hand, it is this large metal room, these sort of like pits of lava all around, chains hanging from the ceiling. But on the other hand, it is an open, beautiful field with a blue sky upon the horizon and tents surrounding the area. And it sort of, in different places around the room, it switches and changes from these 2 vastly contrasting scenes. But stood right in the center of the room is Balzanor and Borasoth. Borasoth now about Balzanor's size. So these 2 minotaurs, one sort of normal with dark sort of brown fur, another with a sort of molten volcanic rock of skin. And Borasoth is just like almost like bear hug holding Balzanor. Balzanor is clearly very, very weak. He's tired. He's trying to pull and push himself off of Borasoth, but Borasoth is just holding on in the middle. He's just bear hugging, not letting go, holding on. And you can just hear him saying these things in Balzanor's ear, just saying, "Oh, Balzanor, stop this. Together we are so powerful. Together we can do anything. We can join my mother. We can depose my mother. We can do whatever we want. We are the Lord of Fire in all the worlds." And Balzanor is like, "No, get off me, you monster." What would you all like to do?
Can smack the shit out of Borasoth.
Yeah, you run. Yeah, you run up to Borasoth. He's clearly, like, as you guys get close, "Stay. Why, this is none of your business. You're ruining everything." And yeah, you can roll the hit if you like. Actually, I'm not even going to bother saying you rolled a hit. I would just say, how do you all do this? How do you all prize Borasoth off of Balzanor? How do you see this going?
Yank him off. Pop a 4-man job.
4-man job. Everyone just
Or
grabs
get a
him.
limb.
Or get a limb. Pull him off. I mean, is anyone grabbing Balzanor, or are you all just pulling at Borasoth? Because if Borasoth's like bear hugging, you're just pulling. Whatever. You manage to sort of all of you
If
like.
we're going for this like dog pile effect, I'll probably like with like the strength of like Kaiman and Giri and stuff is probably enough. I'll probably go for Balzanor on the other side and like wrap an arm around him and do like a big try and do like a big cure wounds on him to like give him some strength to help him fight this himself.
Ah, that does change things. So you push and push and push, and very, very quickly, almost like ripping a band-aid off, there's just some of this, and this energy just erupts between them. Or rather, this energy is almost like dissipated between them, like their union was causing some kind of energy, but now that they're ripped apart, something dissipates. And as sort of Doc, you're sort of like holding on to Balzanor, you see Balzanor remains here, but Borasoth, as he's ripped from Balzanor, just like the end of Harry Potter when Voldemort just sort of turns into ash, and turns into strips of paper, just as you pull him, and as they detach, he just disappears. The scene of the dark castle around you transforms, and you now see yourselves in an open field. In the distance, there is a large cave wherein many minotaurs are gathered. They are sort of happy, they're dancing. Some are forming these feats of strength as you yourselves did earlier on. Some are just talking and laughing. Some are playing like these large drum-like instruments and things like that, and one of them is playing a sort of stringed instrument. And it seems like inside this cave there is a sort of larger, wider network of caves that string about. But you guys are outside near some like large tents and things like that. And as one tent sort of opens up, or as Balzanor stands there and opens up a tent, he looks at you guys, says, "Thank you. Thank you for not giving up on me." And as he opens the tent and gestures inside, you can see the rest of the Guardians and the rest of the Drengers all sat within this tent around this sort of like table with food and ale and all these lovely things. And in contrast to the sweltering heat that has encompassed this place, a nice cool breeze blows through the area. This beautiful cool breeze that usually would be far too cold, like a winter breeze, but to all of you it's almost refreshing. It almost gives you just a brief sort of cooling sensation. And if you want, you can all immediately take the effects of a short rest. So if there's any hit dice you would like to get back, you can get those back. If there's any abilities you get back on a short rest, you will immediately get those back. And with that as well, Balzanor sort of steps in, sits down, begins laughing with the group. And as you guys all would step in, you feel that yanking in your chest again. As you step into the tent, you feel that yanking, pulling. And then you're suddenly ripped, pulled back from the tent. There is this bright, shining light. And suddenly you find yourselves, once again, in the cave, on the floor, sort of all like scattered around the room, like on the floor. You've been, your bodies have been unconscious this whole time. Davyak looks around and sort of just looks at you guys and says, "Oh, thank fuck for that. You guys really went out for very long, but I was starting to get concerned after the sort of, I don't know, 30 seconds mark. You've been gone like a minute. Don't worry about that." Oh shit! As he looks towards Balzanor, and Balzanor is coughing, is spluttering, but that red tether that was binding the two of them suddenly breaks. From Balzanor's back, Borasoth, I suppose the spirit, the demonic essence, the soul of Borasoth, emerges as this large fire elemental presence and looks around the room. He just screams, and the sound of him screaming just echoes throughout this cavern. But we'll say that Mr. Balzanor Blaze does actually arrive on scene. If I can grab him, so he's technically there. Borasoth's been shunted out of his back. I'll use that image for now, but he is basically like this very, very large fire elemental. He says, "Sorry. And he raises his arms. He becomes a little bit more sort of defined of a fire elemental, looking very similar to sort of like a large Minotaur-esque circle of flame, I suppose. And for one final time, can we all please roll some initiatives for the third and final act of this encounter?
Don't know whether it matters, Ben, but I've knocked off a 5th level spell slot for the cure wounds I pumped into Balzanor's spirit, which would have been 46 HP to him. Like I don't.
46 HP to
I
him,
don't know if that's
fucking hell.
affecting the way he looks now at all, or
Yeah, he looks well, yeah, you put 40 HP into technically Balzanor's spirit, so Balzanor gains 46 HP. Balzanor ain't knocked out anymore. He's alive. So we've got Doc. Then roll for Davyak. Oh, Davyak did not roll very, very well, but he rolled better than you two. Can I get a initiative roll, Ryan? 4. Fantastic.
I got initiative higher than someone in like 4 games.
Cool. So, Doc, I forgot to roll for Balzanor. Oh, true Balzanor fashion. He rolled pretty good. Cool. Doc, what you doing? This huge fire elemental being has appeared, is before you, and just looking around at each of you. What would you like to do?
I will move up. Let's move up to here. Cast Spirit Guardians at 4th level because I haven't got any 3rd level spell slots left. As my action, and then like reach down a hand to try and like proffer it to Balzanor, so I can like help him like get back to his feet. And
that sounds great. Yeah, so as I'll say on his turn, Balzanor will only have to use 5 feet of movement to get up off of his feet rather than the full half speed. Fantastic.
Designate everyone to be immune from the Spirit Guardians, except Borasoth.
Cool. Everyone's immune from the Spirit Guardians except Borasoth. Fantastic. Let me just grab a new character sheet that I need. Sorry, it's in some fucking stuff. Right. Next up would be Balzanor's turn. So yeah, Balzanor is going to use 5 feet movement to get up on his feet, and he looks down at his hands, He can't do anything. And he looks back at Borasoth. Shit. And he's going to risk the attack of opportunity because you've given him a bunch of health. And he's going to go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Borasoth's spirit does get an attack of opportunity. And that'll be a 6 plus. Yeah, that definitely hits. And Balzona can't shield anymore. So that is going to be how much damage? 10 plus 5. Come on, where's my D10s? There we go. And bang. That is going to be 4 plus. So that's 12 plus. 12 plus 7 plus 19, 21, 31, 37, 39. Oh. How much HP did you give him again?
46.
46. Right. Balzona takes 42 points of fire damage.
Oh,
Or bludgeoning and fire damage.
Good thing I sent that out of a 5th level slot there.
That is, yeah, from 5d6 fire damage, it rolled 3 6s. But he does manage to get away as this like large god of fire. Why do you think you're going? Smashes him on the back, but he does manage to just about get away. And he's going to use his action to dash way around here. Next up would be Borasoth's turn. And Borasoth is...
Make a
Oh.
saving throw. Is it a whiz save? I haven't used Spirit Guardians in so long. Is it
I
whiz
think
save
it is a
for
whiz
Spirit
save.
Guardians?
I think it's a whiz save.
Yeah, whiz save DC 20.
DC 20.
Yes.
He gets a 16. Fails.
So he fails. So he is going to take 4th level 19 radiant damage.
19 radiant damage as this radiant damage begins to burn away at some of the bottom of this sort of fire elemental being that he is. Cool. Sounds good. Oh, roll 20. Why are you being very, very slow for me right now? This is not what I want. Cool. So, just bear with me 1 second, guys. Yeah, that's good. So, Borasoth's turn. So, yeah, he takes some of that damage. Definitely doesn't like it. So, he gets to make, unlike the big Borasoth, his spirit gets to make 2 slam attacks as a thing. So let's first go for, well, yeah, he's already in it, and it's not that too much. It's not that much damage to him. So yeah, he's gonna move sort of here, and then
The Guardian of Faith when he moves as well. That's still there.
oh yeah, your Guardian of Faith is still fucking there.
Yeah,
Oh,
it lasts
because of
8
course it
hours and
is.
it's not concentration.
All right, so he needs to make a dex save.
Yeah.
That is a natural 19 plus 7.
Okay. He takes 10 damage. 10 radiant damage.
He takes 10 radiant damage. And then he's going to make some attacks against Doc because, well, Doc's the one that, did the whole exorcism, and he's not very happy about that. So that is going to be a 19 to hit Doc.
Does not hit Doc.
Does not hit Doc.
AC 20 on it.
Funnily enough, the next one is 20. That's a 6 and a 7. So that does hit Doc. So Doc, you are going to take. Let me look at this now. That is 5, 8, 15 points of bludgeoning damage. And 14 points of fire damage.
29 damage.
And as a bonus action, he is going to use create fire motes. So as a bonus action, he can roll a d4. Where's my fucking d4 now? 2. He gets to create 2 fire motes. So I'll give you guys little things. So he conjures within a 10 feet space of himself these 2 little sort of like orbs of flame that sort of look like they've got sort of like, sort of demonic crying, sort of howling faces within them. And they just appear and they get to roll initiative and act on that initiative count. Now's a bad time for a nat 20 because now they're not going to go until the start of the next round. Fun, but that's pretty much going to be his go for now. Next up we got Daviak. Daviak is going to do what Daviak do, and he's going to run up, roll to hit twice. Where's Daviak's character sheet, you motherfucker? You do the thing now, yes? There we go. Sword of Talos. Nat 1. And a 19, which does hit. So that's going to be that. And fuck it. Daviak's got 5 levels of smite he can put into this. But it's a +1. But yeah, he's going to do 4th level smite. So that's going to be 5d10? 6d10.
And the Daviak's special, they should be a d8 for smite.
Apologies. I didn't think that was high. 20. That's rather disappointing. So that is going to be 20 plus 33, 35 points of damage onto that. Next up, it is Kaiman. Kaiman, what you going to do?
They're coming for you.
What you going to do when they come for you? So, big spirit of fire in front of you and 2 small little fire motes next to him.
I can't really do any damage because I don't do a lot of damage anyway, and my weapons are fire.
Well, you have like you have some stuff that deals radiant damage. So you've got like Sacred Flame, you've got Guiding Bolt and stuff like that. It does radiant damage instead of fire.
I didn't think of that. I've got.
You're up next, Navedo, so have to think about what you want to do.
I know what I'm doing.
Nice.
Sacred Flame, one of the motes.
Sacred Flame, one of the motes. All right. Doc, I forgot to mention as well, because you got hit, you gain 1 level of burning.
Okay.
Apologies.
No,
Apologies,
cool.
forgot to mention. Mote rolled a 1. Mote fails. Takes 24 points of Sacred Flame fire damage. And dies. This radiant flame comes down on it. Destroys it.
My flames are better.
Navedo, you're up.
I'm going to cast Fever Mind.
Ooh, very interesting. Blast the mind of a creature you can see within range, attempting to shatter its intellect personality. It takes 4d6 psychic damage. So roll me 4d6 psychic damage.
Oh, that's interesting, the wording of that, because the damage is unavoidable.
Yeah.
That's a nice roll.
So 16 fire damage. All right. And it needs to make an intelligence saving throw. On a failed save, the creature's intelligence and charisma scores become 1. Creature can't cast spells, activate magic items, understand a language, or communicate in any intelligible way. Creature can, however, identify its friends, follow them, and even protect them. At the end of every 30 days, the creature can repeat its saving throw against the spell if it succeeds on a saving throw. Right. Okay. I'll tell you what, this is a pretty big roll. I'm gonna do this in roll 20. Fuck it, because I've already got it here, and I dropped my d20. 6 plus.
It probably doesn't matter.
1. Yeah, 7.
Doesn't beat a 19.
However,
There's a legendary resistance to S.
However,
Technicality.
Doc has a level of burning. He's going to consume that level of burning to pass.
How? That's some real bullshit.
I'm sorry.
I think Ben said last time that if there was burning out there, he could use his legendary resistances.
Yeah, but
Yeah. He can still, much like any other monster, only do it 3 times a day, but it's a sort of extra addendum to be able to use them. I'm very, very sorry. I really wanted that to go off. I really, really wanted that to go off. Because that would have just been fucking great. But unfortunately, was not meant to be on this occasion. Is that everything on your turn, Navedo? Any bonus actions? Any movement?
no.
No. Right, Giri, you're up.
Yeah. Strikes for days. Just a quick one. Is he like an apparition, or is it like a physical?
It's like imagine a fire elemental.
Alright, okay.
So it is literally like a spinning vortex of fire in his bottom half, and then his upper half is like a minotaur made of fire.
Okay. Alright. I get advantage because I'm flanking. So we'll take a -5 on this one. 21.
21 does hit.
So that's 29 damage.
29 points of damage. It is magical, yeah, so it would be, it would go off. Nice.
Another -5. Yes.
Yes.
15 damage. 25 damage, sorry.
25 damage. It's nice.
Another -5. Crit. 21, 31.
I'm taking a look at your computer next time I go to yours, because
23.
Jesus, that's fucking 3 crits this evening.
Yeah,
that is.
I had a crit last.
And that's not even like with advantage or anything as well. That is just just standard. Yeah. So that is what 20.
31, and then 23 as well. So I can do that on our calculator if you want, Ben.
Well, so that's 21 plus 23 is 44 plus 10 is 54. 54 damage.
5.
Not bad.
That's 108 damage there. And then because we've got the effects of a short rest, I'm going to action surge.
Because of course you are.
And then could do 3 of those again. -5 on all these, please. 22 hits, I imagine. 26 damage. 20 hits, doesn't it?
20 does hit, yeah.
25 damage, and then crit again.
What?
28 damage plus the 4d12. 27.
You need to roll to hit for that.
Oh shit! Yeah,
40,
sorry.
12.
Yeah, I'm just getting ahead of myself.
No advantage or anything. 31, yeah, still hits. So, How? Just fucking top me up all that damage, please,
Okay.
because I ain't going back through that.
So the first set of strikes was 108, and then plus 26, plus 25, plus 38, plus 27, 224.
In your whole turn, or just on that? On
That was the whole turn. That was all
That was
6
all-
hits.
That was all 6 hits. So what about the final 3 hits you did there? So that was 27 plus 28 is a 35, 55 plus yeah, that was the only one I didn't calculate. So 35. Yeah, 1. Sorry, 2. Yeah, nice. Just fucking charging at it with this devastating series of strikes, and twice you see the flash of the blade as you get those perfect strikes in. Very, very nicely done.
How's he looking?
Go. Looking okay. Certainly, I'll say okay. We get the fire motes, and the fire mote is going to come
With save
over.
for the fire mote.
Was save for the fire mote, of course. That is a 19, but plus 2. That is a 21.
So it takes 17 halved to 8. 8 damage.
17 half to 8 damage. Fire mote is actually no. Seeing the amount of damage, this is an interesting one, because on the one hand, Doc did the exorcism, but on the other hand, Giri is just fucking destroying Doc. So
It's half speed as well in Spirit Guardians. Probably doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, it doesn't really make too much of a difference, because it could get to both of you either way. And I'll tell you what, this way it could get to. This way it could get to. Yeah, let's go to 5, 10. Let's go to Doc here. That was who Borasoth originally intended to battle, and it hasn't been given any other instructions since. So the fire mote just goes to make a couple of piddly little attacks here. That is going to be an unnatural 20 to hit.
That is my AC.
That is your AC, so that hits. So that's going to be 9 points of fire damage. And that's it for the little fire mote at the minute.
Do I get
And then
burning off that?
yes, you do. And I think that is where we're going to call the session at the very end of the initiative there. And next session we will pick up once again for what will probably be the final act in this saving Borasoth / Balzanor. Well, defeating Borasoth and saving Balzanor.
Saving Private Balzanor.
Saving Private Balzanor. That's the episode title right there. Yeah, hope you all enjoyed. Hope you'll enjoy this little sort of expansion. So that getting him wasn't necessarily as easy as you'd hope, but got to earn those level ups if you want them.
I'll
yeah.
send my computer over for a drugs test.
Pardon?
I'll send my computer over for a drugs test.
Fucking good, because honestly, that was kind of crazy.
Oh, crap. It's a bit bad.
Four crits in one session for a fighter, let alone a fighter whose whole thing is, well, not whole thing, but whose weapon bases around crits, is pretty dang good. I might take a look at that weapon and maybe change it to a D10 or a D8. I don't know, just because that is insane. I mean, I don't think it'll make too much difference, if I'm honest, because
Well, I got to say,
it'll
the
be-
majority of the damage comes from the hacking
Yeah.
on the 10 plus 10 for every hit.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That was an additional
Plus
60.
10 for every hit, and
Oh,
obviously you get an advantage means you're just not missing. Giri does not miss. Like I genuinely think Giri could probably take on Galahad and Griffin, and probably come out of it looking pretty good. Crazy stuff, but also the plays of the giant ape from the naked man himself, just becoming small and going under its fucking feet, because of course you do. Love it. Yeah. Hope you all enjoyed that little tangent, little exploration into the mind of Balzanor and Borasoth. And I will speak to you guys next week, where we'll finish this whole thing up. Cool.
Can't wait.